Gabriel pulls down a book on snakes.
Snakes are legless reptiles. Some snakes kill their prey with poison, some by constriction. A snake smells by tasting the air with its forked tongue. The smells are passed back to a sense organ in the mouth. Constrictor snakes, however, sense their prey by vibration.
Did you know that medieval legends about dragons and giant worms are actually based on snakes? You know, dragons, devils, sea monsters, well, they've always been associated with snakes.
Grace, get alive.
Gabriel selects a volume of German poetry that he always found strangely compelling.
Drei Drachen kriechen in meinen Schlaf. Die Ziele wollen sie lebendig zum Fraß. Feurigen Atems, gespaltener Zunge, genießen sie jedes Mal.
That's nice. Kinda creepy, though. Who's the author?
Heinz Ritter. I'm not sure what it says, but I get the feeling the guy was one sick puppy.
Gabriel leafs through a German-English dictionary.
Let's see, Mittag means midday, noon.
Gabriel leafs through a German-English dictionary.
Spiel means game. Interesting.
Gabriel leafs through a German-English dictionary.
Himmel means heaven.
Gabriel leafs through a German-English dictionary.
Dry means three.
Gabriel leafs through a German-English dictionary.
Besessen means possessed. That's handy to know.
Gabriel leafs through a German-English dictionary.
Drachen means dragons. I wonder if Mosley would know he was being insulted if I called him Drachenbreath.
Gabriel leafs through a German-English dictionary.
Let's see, Mittag means midday, noon.
Gabriel leafs through a German-English dictionary.
Spiel.
Gabriel rather. A poster on the wall advertises Mardi Gras, the biggest party of the year in New Orleans. It's Gabriel's bed, unmade as usual. Jeans and t-shirts. Gabriel's bedroom is also his office, studio, and library. Mardi Gras mementos left by some female or other. Several dozen books, including a few of Gabriel's novels, occupy the shelves above his desk. Gabriel can...
I'm going out.
Good luck.
A uniform. It's an...
Got a second, officer?
What can I do you for?
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Me? Nothing. I'm a Catholic boy.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
I'm not allowed to give out information on police cases.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
I'll tell you, I'm glad as hell it's not Mardi Gras. If it weren't for that 1 month a year, being a cop in New Orleans would be a real pleasure. As it is, I'd rather stick behind this desk.
Tell me about yourself.
Who, me? I'm the Desk Sergeant Frick, why?
Frick?
That's right. You got a problem with that?
Not at all. I'm here to see Detective Mosley.
He's out at a crime scene. Sorry.
Where is the crime scene? Is it related to the voodoo murders?
Crime scene information is police confidential. We don't need any more looky-loos than are probably already there.
I was supposed to pick up some photos from Detective Mosley at the front desk.
Is that right? And who are you?
My name is Knight. Gabriel Knight.
Yeah, I got something for you, all right. As soon as you're done talking, I'll give it to you. Here's that envelope for you, Gabriel Knight.
Thanks. You've already...
Those two Gabriel two photographs. One of the photos from Mosley is an official voodoo murders crime scene shot, a graphic close-up of a victim. One of the photos from Mosley is an official voodoo murder. The photograph of Mosley was apparently taken upon his graduation from the police academy. He had hair then. The door.
I'm so glad you stopped by.
Sorry it's been a while, Grandma.
Not at all. Give us a kiss. Now come and sit down. Tell me how you're doing.
On the wall are portraits of Gran and Gramps when they were young. Gabriel's inherited some good-looking genes. Granny likes soft lighting.
That's my Gran. Adorable as always.
You're such a tease.
Can we talk, Gran?
Of course, my boy. How can I help?
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Voodoo? What an odd question, Gabriel. Of course, you always were interested in monster movies and all that other weird stuff. You get that from your father and Granddad. I don't know anything about it, dear. Of course, it was very big in New Orleans at one time, but you don't hear about it so much these days. Too much else in the world to worry about, I guess.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
Oh, Gabriel, nothing. And I don't want to. I sometimes wonder what this world is coming to.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
New Orleans is very southern. Of course, though, not as much as it used to be when I was a girl. It's gotten much more influenced by the East Coast and that California stuff. Still, it hasn't changed as much as other places, I reckon. We've always been happy here.
Tell me about yourself.
Me? Oh, surely you have something more interesting to talk about.
Oh, come on, Gran.
All right, dear. What do you want to hear?
What do you do all day?
You know how I love to knit and work in my garden? I also take long walks. It's the only way to keep an old body like mine from stiffening up.
You're not old.
Oh, don't be foolish. I'm older than the hills.
Tell me about before you met Granddaddy.
Well, you know I was born Rebecca Wright. My daddy owned a lot of land outside of town. We grew peas, corn, cotton, all kinds of things. It was a good childhood, but my father was very strict. He didn't much let me out of his sight.
Tell me how you met Granddaddy.
I met Harrison at a church revival. There was a traveling preacher back then, a big fella named Reverend Jim. I even remember his slogan, "Come to me to find your way." Your granddad was sitting right behind me and my girlfriend Alma, and at one point, old Reverend Jim was flinging his hair around with his fire and brimstone antics, and a piece of it, one of those small add-on do's for men, went flying off. I swear, Harrison and I were the only ones that noticed. We both started laughing to beat the band. Everyone looked at us like we were a couple of loonies. It was then I knew that he was for me.
How you feeling these days?
Fit as a fiddle, and don't you worry your head about it.
Just tell me anything at all.
I had your father when I was 22. The doctors told me I couldn't have any more after him, so I'm afraid I spoiled him rotten.
Just tell me anything at all.
I never loved any man but your grandfather, and I never will.
Just tell me anything at all.
I hate to admit it, but I was a jealous little thing when your granddad and I were younger. I loved him so ferociously, and he did attract the eyes of the ladies, whether he wanted to or not.
Just tell me anything at all.
I get lonely sometimes, but I have lots of girlfriends in the neighborhood. I call one of them if I'm feeling blue.
Just tell me anything at all.
I wish you'd settle down and give me a great-grandchild.
Oh, Gran. Just tell me anything at all.
I had your father when I was 22.
Oh, nothing, never mind.
All right, dear.
Tell me about our family.
Who would you like to hear about? Your granddad, your father, or your mother?
Tell me something about Granddad.
Your granddad immigrated to America when he was 21. He worked his way through school, met and married me, and we had your father, Philip.
Tell me about my father.
Your father was my only child. How we adored him. Philip suffered from terrible nightmares, just like your granddad did. They were 2 peas in a pod.
Tell me about my mother.
Your mother was Margaret Templeton when your father met her. She came from a very wealthy Creole family in New Orleans. She was beautiful and reckless. She was madly in love with your father, of course, but I also think she liked defying her family. Since you're so interested in family history these days, why don't you go by St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 and visit the family tomb? It would be a sweet gesture.
Maybe I will. Tell me about... Tell me about...
The Templetons are all gone now. Every last one of them. They never wanted anything to do with us, of course. What a waste.
Tell me about my...
When Philip met your mother, it was love at first sight. They were married 2 weeks later. Never looked at a girl seriously until then, and he looked at plenty. You have your father's way with women, Gabriel, and your granddad's.
Tell me something about Granddad.
Your granddad supported me and your father with bookkeeping. I'll tell you what, though, he hated every minute of it. Didn't really like bookkeeping one bit. Maybe that was why he had the worst luck with jobs. The nights he'd come home afraid to tell me he'd lost another. And I would tell him. It didn't matter to me. But he felt ashamed, Gabriel.
Tell me about yourself.
What more do you want to know, dear?
Oh, no.
Oh.
Tell me something.
Harrison was only 36 when he died. Your father was 8 years old at the time. Your granddad was hit by a streetcar in the business district. Took me nearly a year to believe he was really gone.
I'm sorry, Gran.
I know you are, dear.
Tell me something about...
Did you know that your granddad was a poet? He was! He wrote the most beautiful poetry for me when we were courting. I always thought he should have done something with that gift. But he was such a practical man. Didn't believe in chasing after dreams.
Tell me some...
I don't know what...
Tell me about...
I wanted to just lay down and die when he and your mother were killed in that car crash when you were only 8. It was the thought of taking care of you that kept me going, Gabriel. The police say your father swerved off the road after being frightened by something. Perhaps a deer in the road or a wild cat.
Tell me something about Granddad.
I don't know.
Tell me about...
Your granddad wanted Philip to have a normal life. He was obsessed by that thought. He pushed Philip to go to law school. Philip was driven to art. He painted almost in a daze. He would get so inside himself when he worked.
Tell me about my...
He always hated it that it was Margaret's money that supported the 3 of you when his painting couldn't. I kept telling him, try something more cheerful, like a landscape or 2. But he couldn't do it. His work was just too dark and disturbing for the public, you know.
Tell me about my father.
I don't...
Tell me about my...
I don't...
You know, you get prettier every time I see you.
Oh, you...
Have you baked any of your incredible molasses pies lately?
No, dear. But you let me know when you want some, and I'll whip up half a dozen.
You've lost weight. Are you courting a new man?
Oh, Gabriel, don't be silly. You know there'll never be anyone but your granddad for me.
Your hair looks very pretty today, Gran.
Well, why, thank you, dear. So does... You've always had such nice, thick hair, Gabriel.
You know, I always tell people that my Gran is the prettiest grand old belle in the city.
Oh, dear. You shouldn't talk so.
You know, you get... I'm going to go up to the attic, Gran.
Be careful of the dust.
The sheet-covered upholstered rocker used to be in Gabriel's nursery. The old trunk looked like it's gone to hell and back. Gabriel has seen these ornaments every year at Christmas for as long as he can remember. It's a lady's hat from the 1920s.
From Gran's Virginia Woolf period.
That tennis racket probably hasn't served a ball since the 40s.
It looks pretty heavy.
The trunk contains some old clothes, including a pair of leather shorts,
Aren't those called lederhosen?
serious hiking boots, more of Harrison Knight German book,
Just what I need.
and a bundle of letters, love letters between Harrison and Rebecca.
I think I'll take Daddy's sketchbook with me.
Gabriel looks fondly at his father's sketchbook and charcoal pencil. Images haunt the pages of Philip Knight's sketchbook, the way they must have haunted his mind. The images touch a deep chord in Gabriel. So familiar are they that he finds it hard to believe they aren't from his own subconscious. Images haunt the pages of Philip Knight's sketchbook, the way they must have haunted his mind. The images touch a deep